Back within the bunker of Metroplex, Optimus presents the Matrix to his QUINTESSON ally to confer with him his part in this plan. That the last being left in the universe he could count on to help save it would be a QUINTESSON. The irony of the situation was not lost on Optimus. He suspected it was only a matter of time before either Rodimus came to and hunted down Optimus for revenge, or perhaps Galvatron would arrive from Char and attack. Or any number of other beings would find this shelter and attempt to destroy Optimus Prime before he could find a way to save them.
If any cure to this plague exists, only the ancient leaders within the Matrix could possibly know it. I must travel into the Matrix.
The journey deep into the depths of the Matrix and the knowledge it contained would render Optimus unconscious. It was up to this QUINTESSON who had helped to revive him to now guard him until his work was complete. Everything hinged on this, on Optimus finding the answers he sought. As he places the Matrix into his chest, where he carried it for many eons before, he accesses it, delving into its recesses as his body lay unmoving, the QUINTESSON standing vigil as both sentinel and protector. As Optimus begins his journey within the ethereal existence of the Matrix, it is unsurprising that his first encounter is with Rodimus Prime, the most recent bearer of the Matrix. Knowing there would be no answers for the situation there, he continues past, the Matrix reconfiguring this representation into the most trusted sage Optimus would know, the being who helped shape Optimus to become the scholarly hero he is. Alpha Trion. Though his coloring being dissimilar to his living form indicated that this was but an echo of Alpha Trion, and his own wisdom and knowledge he'd endowed to the Matrix during his own time bearing it.
Optimus, why have you returned?
This manifestation of Alpha Trion, in fact the Matrix itself, would not have the knowledge that Optimus Prime had fully been restored to life, despite helping to reignite his spark earlier. In that scenario, it did so as a way to heal Optimus and bring peace, hearing his cries of madness and pain, attempting to soothe and settle his conflicted consciousness, brought on by the necromancy of the QUINTESSONs. Yet even the Matrix would not know any more than Rodimus Prime had that Optimus was once again alive. Therefore, this piece of Alpha Trion within the Matrix is both surprised and astounded at seeing Optimus again. Nevertheless, he is also prepared to share knowledge with those who seek it.
Why have you returned?
To find a cure for the spore plague, can you help me, Alpha Trion?
If there is a cure, I know nothing of it.
Then I must journey farther back.
I'm sure Optimus, traveling through the inner space of the Matrix of Leadership, was acutely aware that time was of the essence, even in this dreamlike state where one's senses of time were different than in the conscious world. He was uncertain how much time he truly had to journey further, yet it was a risk he had to take, on top of the other risks Alpha Trion now warns him of.
Be careful, or if you travel too far, you may become lost and never find your way back.
If I do not try, there may be nothing to return to.
This manifestation of previous Matrix bearers continues to change, the forms growing more and more ancient, as Optimus Prime continues his journey through these hallowed reflections of sages past, knowing there was a chance he may never find the answer to a cure and be lost forever. Meanwhile, as the Quintesson stands watch over Optimus Prime's body, he is alerted to incoming enemies.
Oh no! Infected Transformers!
A huge red wave of Autobots and Decepticons begin to amass at Metroplex, with Galvatron among them, having made his way here from Char, along with Cyclonus and the Predacons. In their hysteria and derangement, many Autobots had also joined this mob heading for Metroplex. It was almost as if the spores that infected them sensed some imminent threat to their well-being from this citadel, and moved their host bodies towards it. The Quintesson seemed to understand the focus of this attack, and knew he had to do something.
They're looking for Optimus Prime. I must stop them. They'll destroy us both.
Once again, his own sense of self-preservation motivated his actions more than any sense of heroism. But at least he had intuited enough about Metroplex and the controls around him to manipulate the base. He closes off hatches on the initial invading wave, sealing off all avenues to him, Optimus, and this bunker. Yet wave after wave of rage-filled Transformers were landing. It was only a matter of time before they breached the defenses. The Quintesson knew they would tear down the entire fortress to get to Optimus.
Hurry! Please hurry!
Optimus Prime's journey through the Matrix continues, past leaders and warriors whose names were lost to time, whose forms became so insubstantial there was no way the Matrix knew how to represent them to the eyes of Optimus. Thus, the oldest Matrix bearer, whose knowledge the Matrix contained, formed in front of Optimus as the most ancient form it could convey to Optimus's understanding. A face of both wide-eyed wisdom, yet an expression, a mouth, of sharp-fanged viciousness, almost as if it was representative of ancient goodness and evil both. And surprisingly, not very dissimilar from one of the 5 faces of the Quintesson. It seemed to know immediately why Optimus was there, the question already asked, and thus it divulged all it knew to him of these spores of hate.
The plague you speak of has visited us once before. A wise man was able to contain the spores and send them into the sun.
The idea that the gravity and fusion of a sun, a star, could act as a containment, a prison for these spores made sense. But containment was not an option. Any other sun would one day end as well, and the spores would once again be free. Optimus knew that whether it was in 1,000 years or billions from now, he could not let these spores continue. They must be stopped, lest the madness spread again to some future generations. They must be destroyed.
But no one was able to destroy them. No one had the power to do that. The only way to fight such madness is with wisdom. Unfortunately, no one person now has the wisdom to contain the spores, much less destroy them now that they have spread across the galaxy.
No one person. Suddenly, the answer came to Optimus Prime. It seemed almost obvious, as most answers do when they're finally found or stumbled upon. It felt so pure, so simple. Optimus was sure it would work. It had to work.
Perhaps there does exist a source of wisdom powerful enough to destroy the spores and cure the entire world. The accumulated wisdom that resides within the Matrix.
Scourge and the other infected Decepticons were already breaking through every wall between them and Optimus Prime, using brute strength to open a path directly to him and the Quintesson who stood watch over him. Galvatron was near the front of this mob, rushing in past the others, deciding his fusion cannon was too quick, too easy. He picked up a piece of debris, planning on bludgeoning Optimus Prime to death with it, sending him back to whatever afterlife he'd clawed his way back from. The QUINTESSON, hoping against hope that Optimus was still in there somewhere, was begging all of these infected Transformers to stay this madness, even for a minute more.
Stop! Please stop!
Galvatron would let nothing stand in his way of killing Optimus Prime once more.
Never, QUINTESSON! This world is ours! Optimus Prime shall die again!
Just as he raises his weapon to strike, the chest of Optimus Prime opens, revealing the Matrix, which begins to emanate some light, some essence, radiating it towards Galvatron, who stands astonished as it encompasses him. Optimus arises, holding out the Matrix, its golden chamber opening for him, much the same as it had for Rodimus, for Hotrod, not long ago. All of the Transformers within the bunker, this mob, which only moments before was ready to wreck and ruin all of their surroundings, now stand in awe and calmness at this feeling, this touch, this power, as it floods the room in which they stand, the madness and hate washing away from their minds and bodies, leaving them with sense, with hope, with understanding and empathy, with all the antitheses of hate, rage, violence, and fear. This great deluge of pure wisdom spreads beyond the bunker, beyond the gleaming towers of Metroplex, out into every part of the earth and beyond, to every nation, every people. As this power washes through them, the calamity subsides, the violence stops. All the Transformers, Autobots and Decepticons alike, nearly faint from the force of this change, this cleansing, as the plague and the very spores that induce it are utterly destroyed against the power of knowledge, intelligence, and enlightenment. Galvatron, Scourge, and Cyclonus stand, bewildered at the feelings coursing through them from this occurrence. The unleashed power from the Matrix subsides, almost as if drained, having given everything it had to eradicate the spores of hate and restore goodness to the universe. As Optimus Prime grasps it, becoming the bearer of the Matrix once more. After some time, hours, maybe days, the leaders of both the Autobots and Decepticons gathered together, having taken some time to gather their bearings, take stock of the current situations, and determine exactly how much there was to reorganize and rebuild. Galvatron stands across from Optimus Prime, who is flanked on one side by Ultra Magnus, and on the other, our favorite duo of Cup and, of course, Hotrod, who had reverted back to his smaller, younger-looking form, indicating that he no longer possessed the Matrix, that mantle of leadership having been bestowed once more to Optimus Prime. Hotrod, his mind now clear and freed from the immediate responsibilities of Rodimus Prime, still had a lot to process, and was uncharacteristically subdued and quiet at this time. Being in the same room with Galvatron, after the many aggravated encounters they'd had between them, felt strange and tense for him. But Cup was keeping an ever-watchful eye on Hotrod, helping him sort out all he'd been through, and find his new place in this continuing mission the Autobots had of bringing about that new age of peace and happiness. Jessica Morgan was also here in the room, advocating for her father Mark and also for Gregory, as they were brought before Optimus Prime and the others to show their deep regret and remorse.
I can't say what I'm feeling. I'm so terribly sorry.
We had no right to do what we did with the spores. And for what we thought and believed of you, I deeply apologize.
Look, I'm just going to come right out and say it. These two should be in prison. After all the horrific chaos, death, destruction, and damage they essentially caused through their own misguided actions, some accountability should be taken by them beyond a heartfelt apology. Quite frankly, it's a wonder Galvatron doesn't immediately step forward and squish them beneath his boot like insects. But I suppose everyone was a little wiser and more compassionate after this experience with the power of the Matrix. And they do seem sincere in their words. Yes, even Gregory. Jessica, who had at some point hitched a ride from Char back to Earth with the Decepticons, presumably, had apparently been hunting down Gregory, who had also been infected by these spores. Yet, when the Matrix did away with the hate plague, her first action upon seeing him was to embrace him. Probably not so much romantically. I think they were both just simply amazed and elated in that moment. And it was good of her to stand by her father's side as he showed contrition to the Autobots and Decepticons as she supported him. But, if you ask me, I'm just going to assume Mark and Gregory spent the rest of their lives behind bars, paying for the atrocities they committed. Maybe writing some scientific papers on how not to handle extraterrestrial spores. Jessica, who had proven to be a hero through and through, proving her courage, quick thinking, and desire to sacrifice for the good of all those she loved, inherits whatever business assets and monies Mark may have had, and she continues on in prosperity and good health, happily ever after. As for the Autobots and Decepticons, and where they stood now in their ongoing war, let alone where Galvatron and Optimus Prime stood in regards to each other, it remained to be seen. Galvatron, stern and unreadable, steps forward toward Optimus Prime, his next move a guess to anyone in the room, especially to Hotrod, who whispers to Cup,
"Does this mean the fighting will continue?"
Had to say.
Galvatron approaches Optimus Prime and offers his hand, which Optimus immediately and gladly takes. They shake firmly, no animosity or harbored guile between them.
There will be no war today, Optimus Prime. You have earned Galvatron's respect.
Optimus is quietly accepting of this truce, only hoping that it could last indefinitely. Hotrod, who had personally been holding back the Decepticon forces since Optimus's passing, was less accepting of this and much more dubious in his trust of Galvatron's uneasy compunction. He knew how crazy Galvatron's emotional swings could be, and couldn't quite understand Optimus's willingness to accept Galvatron's words so easily. Optimus could feel Hotrod's uncertainty about the situation, and in order to explain his actions and trust to Hotrod, Optimus didn't even say a word, simply holding up the casing of the Matrix to illustrate a point to Hotrod, and let this bright and promising Autobot put the pieces together himself.
The wisdom of the ages. It's lost.
No, not lost. We're all a little wiser now.
Hotrod understood what Optimus meant, and could now see where the trust he placed in Galvatron came from. If that wisdom the Matrix contained had been imposed on Galvatron's mind, maybe there was a chance that peace really would last this time. Yet to Hotrod, the price seemed too high. The power, the wisdom of all the ages that the Matrix had contained for so many eons before was gone, the casing now an empty shell in his hands.
But the Matrix is empty.
It's up to all of us to fill it again, with the wisdom we accumulate from this moment on.
Even as Optimus teaches Hotrod this lesson, we also learn from him one of the greatest and most valuable lessons he ever taught us. As wonderful as it would be to be empowered by some magical object, imbued with greater strength and abilities than we could have ever imagined, it's all nothing without experience, personal strength, integrity, without wisdom. And it is our personal responsibility to gain that wisdom, harness it, even pass it on where we can, in order to make the world a better place and keep the forces of evil, darkness, and oppression at bay. This world, now more than ever, is filled with such selfishness, such hate and violence. It's almost as if there truly is a hate plague infecting the minds of so many. And it's destructive, senseless, and can only bring misfortune, can only cause atrocity. Not just for the people around you, but for your own heart and soul.
There's a demon inside of you. It's inside both of you.
Look, everyone! This is what hatred looks like. This is what it does when it catches hold of you. It's eating me alive, and very soon now it will kill me. Fear and anger only make it grow faster.
The only cure for this hate plague that currently has the world in its grasp is to cultivate wisdom, to show acceptance, to promote understanding, appreciation, and peace. And it's up to every one of us to pool our accumulated wisdom, to harness it as a species, as a planet, if we wish to become powerful as a people and bring about that age of peace and happiness. At the very least, we should try to be less cynical of the world around us, less critical of others, and continue in our own personal growth and erudition. That is how Orion Pax became Optimus Prime, a leader and a hero, full of more than just physical strength, but compassion, courage, and a desire to see justice done and goodness prevail. If we follow that example, we have a chance to truly transform our world. Optimus was back, for good.
It's great to be back.
After this miraculous return, he never really left us again, always existing this past 40 years or so, in some form or another. Ever a commanding figure and a continuing example of a true hero. The story of him, the story of the Autobots, waging their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons, continued on. However, the details get a little murky from this point on. The QUINTESSONs, it seems, decided that part of their bargain to restore Optimus Prime in exchange for protection and the restored order of the galaxy meant that they should really just stop meddling in the affairs of the universe. They found some quiet corner of it to retire in, never really being heard from again, in this incarnation of the series anyway. Hotrod would also move forward in life, after having had a taste of his own destiny, ever growing in prestige and renown, hoping to be more worthy, more ready to one day wield the mantle of leadership should he be called to again. Galvatron would eventually attempt many more ways of taking over the galaxy, clearly being the best one to rule over it, at least in his own mind. The alliances and bargains he would make in furthering his goals of dominance would lead to several more antics worthy of further discussion in future videos. One day.
There is much to do. We will attack other planets. We will suck them dry. We will rebuild the planet 100 times more powerful than Cybertron. And I will rule the galaxy!
Who will rule the galaxy?
Me! It is my destiny!
We shall see, Galvatron. We shall see.
The Autobots had always been fond of their human allies, especially Spike and his family. It's only fitting that Spike would eventually binary bond with the indomitable Fortress Maximus and help save many other worlds from the machinations of the Decepticons and other villains. Yet, from time to time, he and his old pal Bumblebee, now Goldbug, would still get together and reminisce about old times. Speaking of Goldbug, he'd continue to grow in many ways, taking command of the Throttlebots and leading them through many battles and adventures as he continued towards his own destiny as one of the great heroes of Cybertron. Daniel would join his father and Fortress Maximus on many continuing adventures across the galaxy, helping to liberate worlds from the Decepticons. He would even befriend one of the mightiest Decepticons, who in turn eventually became an Autobot to help fight against... Actually, it's not 100% clear how or even if all of this really fits together. I guess mostly it depends on who you ask as to what really counts as canon. One thing is for sure, though. Optimus Prime would go on, only growing in strength, in capability, and even in wisdom, as he made alliances with other peoples, other heroes, and continued to hold back the forces of evil while bringing about diplomacy and peace. No matter the challenge or from where it came, Optimus Prime was ready to meet it head-on, to light our darkest hours and bring freedom to all sentient beings.
Autobots, transform and roll out!